Okay, it is the first session of 2021. Today is drums. I got my good buddy Mike Nieland back in. He's out there warming up right now. We're having a great time. He brought in a really bitchin' kit. 3 racks, 3 concert toms, huge kick drum, a couple really nice snares. I'm gonna let him do the walk through the kit in a minute. And we have 22 mics set up in the room. We're doing a little experimenting. Obviously, it's overkill, but there's some fun combinations that we're kind of coming up with. We're running everything through the Trident. All my pre's are there, but I'm doing a couple fun things with the rooms. I have the Red 12 shotgun mics going through the Dynamites and just blowing up. They sound really cool. 4080 Audio-Technicas through the Overstayer. I'm using the Cascade Fathead 2, and that's actually going through the new Comp 3A Junior from Golden Age, just getting a little bit of slap on that. So I've been moving gear around. And I've taken the Tone Lux stuff, the TX5C and the EQ5P, and that is now on the kick and snare. And I'm in love with what those two things do on a kick and snare. But that's kind of some of the fun stuff. I'm gonna let Mike get a couple takes in, and then I'll go out and do a walkthrough, and I'll have him talk about the kit. But we are having a good time today. Happy New Year, everybody. All right, dude, nice session.
That was fun.
We had a good time, and this kit is insane.
Thank you.
So, what the heck is it?
This is a Ludwig Classic Maple kit. This is most of the kit that I have. I still have another. I'm a bit of what they call in the industry a Neil geek, and I wear it probably on my sleeve. If you don't like it, I don't care. So what's here is the contra toms. So you got 5.5 by 8, 6 by 10, 7 by 12, 9 by 13 closed tom, a 12 by 15 floor tom, and then a 16 by 18 floor tom. The rest of the kit, there's also the kick drum is a 14 by 24. So classic maple series. So it's a 7-ply maple shell, made in Monroe. I had these made for me. They're wrapped in it's called Ruby Red Sparkle, so it's a shade darker than the normal red sparkle. And that wrap was custom done for me as well. And then all the edges and the custom work were done by my friends at Pork Pie Percussion. You know, it's a fantastic kit. The rest of the kit, you know, this is supposed to mimic the 80s Neil kit. So there's a second 24-inch for it. There's a 6-inch contra tom for it. There's a 12-inch rack tom, so the full setup would be 6, 8, 10, 12, 12, 13, 15, 18 with a 20-inch gong bass drum.
Oh my God.
And then the two 24s. And then the snare drum, we were talking about it. This snare drum kind of was, I had it made at the same time as the kit, but I hadn't really had a chance to play it yet because there's no gigs anywhere. So we brought it in yesterday just to see what it would do. This is a 5.5 by 14 Legacy Maple snare drum. So it's 3-ply maple poplar shell with a 1/4-inch solid maple ring in it.
And that thing sounds so good, and it feels good to play.
And it's an 8-lug drum. And folks, if you haven't played an 8-lug snare drum, take it from me and Charlie. You don't know what you're missing. It's got a little more give in the center. You don't have 2 less lugs that are pulling on the head in the center of it, so it's got a little more of a spongy feel to it. Your stick goes into it a little more. It feels like it goes into it a little bit more. And you know, I'd had it at home and played it a couple times, but hadn't really got into it. You know, didn't really discover it until yesterday, and we got it in here. I'd planned on using my 80s smooth bronze that I have. And once we put this one up,
and it sounded good too. The smooth bronze sounded great.
Yeah, but when this one came up, you know, this one as Charlie said, it's like the rug, it tied the room together.
Yep.
So this is my Lebowski snare. It's the big L. So yeah, classic maple drums. The cymbals are a mixture of Paiste and Sabian. Over here we've got 602 Modern Essentials in a 17 and an 18-inch crash. The hats are a pair of 14-inch Sabian Paragons, which for my money are my favorite hi-hats that Sabian makes. The ride is a 22-inch prototype that I had that they did for me years ago. In one of my former lives, we were gonna look at selling these ride cymbals in our shop, and they made me a bunch of prototypes of them, and I ended up holding on to this one. And then finishing up over here is an older 90s 2002 20-inch Crash, and then a 20-inch 2002 China. No explanation there. It just those are the classic sounds. You know, they sound like Peisty. Clear Emperors all the way around. A P3, actually a P3 color sound on the back bass drum head, a red color sound. And then on the Contra Toms, legendary Ludwig Silver Dot drum heads. Great attack, great presence. It's a different thing than the Remo counterpart. They're made for us, you know, Remo is our head partner, but we went back to the original spec of the Dots. And the Dots do make a difference to the point where not only is this material still the same material that was used in the 70s on the Dots, we get it from the same guy, the same everything, but we also have Remo go and make dies for them, because if you look historically, Ludwig Silver Dots, the dots were different sizes than Remo's, and that was, as I understand it, that was an agreement between Remo Bellet and the chief, Bill Ludwig. So they could coexist. So we had Remo go back to make these authentic, and we had him do the actual dot size that's on it too. They're just cool heads. I love the sound of them, and they're, you know, the chrome dot. They look awesome. You know,
they do look cool.
They look rock and roll. So that's the kit, and it was a great session. Went home last night and listened to the tones, and just throwing them up on my speakers at home. I couldn't believe the tones we got out of these things.
Yeah, this kit was great.
This was its first run. It hadn't even. I only got this kit, you know, a matter of months ago. So it hadn't even been out of the house yet. So yeah, go Ludwig. You know, the shells just killed it. And you can, and these are all orderable too. I mean, that you can do custom orders like this through Ludwig. You know, so which is, a lot of people don't realize that, but you can certainly. If you had the gumption and you had the patient wife who would let you keep all this stuff in the house, yeah, you can. It's orderable through Ludwig.
All right, cool. We gotta hear what some of this sounds like, man. Nice session.
Thank you, Charlie.
Woo!
All right, we had a good day of tracking. Got a lot of stuff going on out here. A lot of experimenting too, actually. As you can see, I'm actually recording against this wall, and I've been doing that a little bit more and really liking the results. So today was the first day I got to actually put up an excessive amount of microphones just to hear how the room sounds. And luckily Mike and I had a blast doing it. So I'm gonna do a quick walkthrough of just the mic setup.
Let's start with the kick. Actually pretty typical. It's the ATM 250 on the inside and the Roswell Mini K KD on the outside. Let's go around here to the snare, because this is kind of cool. I borrowed Ernesto's Unidyne 3. So I'm running the Unidyne 3 with the Mic Parts SDC 84 and then combining them into one track going into Logic. And it worked out really, really well, actually. Hi-hat snuck it in here, the ATM 450. All right, toms, this is the fun part. So the concert toms, you can see there's no mics on top because I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. See the mic down there? Look at the shadow, there it is. So on the 8 and the 10, you can't see it there, there's a 57, and then I have a Heil PR 35 over here on the 12. You can kind of see that guy. That 57. They sounded fantastic. Loved them. Then the toms, you know, we've got 13 and then a big old 15 down there. Got the PR 30s, and there's actually no EQ on the toms. It's great. It's really, really cool. And then the overheads, I went with a wide spaced pair. Here, let me get out the front. You can kind of see more of a traditional space pair overheads, and then the Roswell Mini K 87s. It sounded great with the Peisty cymbals. They just nice and smooth and full. All right, now for the fun stuff. There's quite a few mics out here. First off, the front kit mic, which is quite often my Audio Technica 4047. I think it just does a better job out here in the front than most mics, and it is measured equidistant from the snare drum as the overheads. So you could turn these 3 mics on and have a drum sound. I'm gonna come back to this guy. Out here in the room, it's a little different today because we are recording against the wall with all the diffusers, so I wasn't sure, you know, how the size and how these room mics would work out. But I have the Cascade Fathead mono room mic, and then my trusty old Audio-Technica 4080s. And we're probably about 10 feet in front of the kit, maybe 8, 9 feet in front of the drum set. 4080s are about 4 feet high, about 2.5, 3 feet down here for the Cascade. And they both sounded really good. They picked up a nice sense of space. Now, one thing I haven't got to do is put really wide mics up. You can see right there. Now let's go over to this corner. You can see right there. These are the Red 12 gauge microphone mics, and we are a good 15, 16 feet away from the kit. And they are getting hammered with the dynamites, and it is awesome. So now there's 2 mics in here that I just threw up because I've been having some fun, and I think I'm gonna do a whole series of videos on just, you know, specialty effects mics, fun mics. And I have these Audio-Technicas. These are, focus, this is like a broadcast microphone. And it is sitting right over the top of the 4047 in front of the kit. And this is getting a little EQ, but no compression. And it was really cool, just kind of a filler sound. You turn it on and just thicken the whole kit up a little bit. I had no idea what it was gonna do because it's not really made for this. And then over here, another one. This was interesting. We tried it against the wall. We used a couple different microphones, and I had another version of this Audio-Technica. One is this? It's the 800AT8004. And basically, I just moved it, but we got it as close to this baffle as possible, and this one's getting some compression. And again, it just added some character to the kit. And that's the setup for this. It's a lot of microphones. Some of it's experimental, some of it will never get used, but it was a good experience for me to test out the room with the kit on this side. And I'm really liking it. I like how, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, but it just tends to have a nice space and openness around the kit over here. There's gonna be some more experimenting there. We're gonna do some more effects mic stuff too. Now let's have a listen to what some of these mics sound like, starting with the close mics and the overheads. I'm really digging recording against that wall out there that has all the diffusers because I think it gives the kit, it really kind of opens up the air around the kit. So even just with the overheads, you get kind of a sense of some ambience without it sounding too roomy. But speaking of rooms, let's go to the fun stuff. Mono Cascade going through the Comp 3A Junior. It's got some character and it's nice and thick. I'll blend it in with the close mics. Does a nice job of adding some space without sounding too wide and bombastic, like a mono room should. Now the Audio-Technica 4080s that are getting hit with the overstayer. Got a little more size going. I'll blend these in. Definitely a little more movement and a little bit more size in the room. And speaking of size in the room, let's go to my favorite, and I think Mike's favorite for this setup too, which was the Red 12 microphones going through the Dynamite. And the Valley People Dynamite is bitchin'.
And I'm hitting it really freaking hard. So here's what that sounds like in context. I'll blend her in. It really, there's a lot of character from that compressor. If you're into compressors that are fun and you can just completely annihilate things but have character, you got to check out the Dynamite. It's a fantastic compressor, but it takes a little getting used to, and I am hammering it pretty hard there. But I think both Mike and I kind of really like what that did to things. Now let's check out the two kind of experimental effects mics that I've never used before, and I'm kind of getting on this kick, and I'll probably do a few longer videos just about like experimental effects, you know, texture mics or something like that. And the first one is the Audio-Technica, I think it's the 8004L, the AT8004L, I think that's what it is. This is right in front of the kit. Now, it is an Omni mic, so even though it's right in front of the kit, it doesn't sound like it's only a few feet in front of the kit. But when you blend it in, it's kind of cool. Off. Go to the groove that's just coming out of there. Start with it off. I'll turn it on kind of loud. Has kind of an interesting mid-range, kind of in the papery area that, if you use sparingly, actually adds a little thickness to the kit. That could be a fun mic to actually run through some distortion pedals or something else. I'll probably experiment with that more, because I like that region, or that area in front of the kit is a good place to capture some extra sounds at. Now, the one that we had, the other one of these, which is I think just the straight 8004, is over on that diffuser on the far wall. Now, obviously, this is going to sound further away, but it does add something kind of interesting. Again, it's one of those things that in a mix, it might actually be really cool to help add some extra texture, and you don't need very much of it. And that's kind of how I look at those effects mics and, you know, texture mics, is they're things that you may not, listening to a song, may not even notice that they're really there, but if you turn them off, all of a sudden you go, hey man, something's missing. So I'm going to experiment more with those, and I will report back with my findings once I do that. But anyway, that was the setup that Mike and I had for this session. He got a couple songs tracked, so I'm looking forward to hearing those as they get those songs done. And everybody else, we're back, 2021. I hope everybody's doing well, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Happy recording.